Hey everybody, this is Preezy. Tell your family and friends about Listen Up, Listen In. This will be a weekly podcast on Fridays, discussing different topics that will help us motivate, educate, differentiate, heal, laugh, grow, and improve ourselves throughout our daily lives. Check me out on Facebook, Listen Up, Listen In, and Instagram, Listen Up, Listen In 5687. And also check out the platforms I'm on and hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Peace.
It's vacation time. Are you ready to get away? Far away? VacateWithNate.com has direct access to the travel industry's top brands. Every major travel supplier, including resorts, hotels, tour providers, cruise lines, vacation companies, airlines, and car rental brands in every destination in the world. Log on today and get your travel plans in motion at VacateWithNate.com. And for the individuals who want to turn a passion for travel into a flexible source of income and rewards, reach out to Nate at shopnobletravel@AOL.com for more information.
Hey everybody, welcome to Listen Up, Listen In podcast. I'm your host, Preezy. This is a special bonus episode that I decided to drop on Thursday. Now, y'all know my shows come out on Fridays. Don't forget to tune in for that. But this right here, I had to get it out. Yes, some great information from a very special guest. It's Thursday, y'all. I hope your day is going well. And if it's not, brush it off. Come on now. Put that smile on your face. You know what time it is. Hey, listen, before I even say anything else, all praises to Jehovah God and Jesus Christ every day. And give yourself a round of applause, because you know why, right? You know why, right? Because you woke up this morning. Yeah. Yes, I can. Yes. So please enjoy the show. Sit back, relax, turn it up. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what's getting ready. Come on, that fly intro. And please, be safe today. Watch your surroundings, because your surroundings is always watching you. Peace. Ten, nine, eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one. Are you ready?
Tanya, you ready?
Listen up, listen in. 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 Thanks for tuning in. Let's have a conversation. Talking worldwide, it don't matter your location. What you going through and the topic may have relation. Let's get some motivation. Let's swap out education. Every Friday we heal, laugh, improve, and grow. Put some nutrients in your mind, give you food for the soul. I know you pumped and preparing for your weekend and low. Might as well join the discussion and tune into the show. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Listen Up, Listen In podcast. I'm your host, Preezy. Now, before I start today's episode, I would love for you guys and gals to follow me on social media. Go to Instagram, Listen Up, Listen In 5687, and on Facebook, Listen Up, Listen In. You can also email me at listenuplissenin5687@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, by following me on social media, you'll be able to see all the platforms my podcast is on. Wherever you consume my podcast, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast. Now let's get back to Listen Up, Listen In. Everybody, welcome to Listen Up, Listen In podcast. I am your host, Preezy. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I have a very special guest with me today. But let me tell you a little bit about this young lady. She is a certified registered practitioner who assists nurses and medical professionals to go beyond the bedside by launching worthwhile product businesses. And also, she's a founder and CEO of Bold, Black, and Beautiful Nurses. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this organization now. The Bold, Black, and Beautiful Nurses is a community striving together to change the narrative of the African American nurses in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They work hard to encourage every prospective nurse to successfully complete an accredited nursing program by way of mentorship and preceptor education. Through their networking events and social media outlets, they hope to inspire all members to become leaders in the advanced practice of nursing. The Bold, Black, and Beautiful Nurses is a networking membership group based in Steel City. And this group was developed to create a space for nurses to network and celebrate each other's accomplishments. Their pride in themselves and creating an atmosphere encourages relationships of building amongst everyone, the individuality, employment opportunities as they become available, and ensuring that their members have necessary tools to succeed and compete in the ever-changing fields of medicine. So without further ado, my special guest, Miss Gwendolyn Lane. How you doing, Gwendolyn?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I always like to ask my guests, how was your day?
Oh, I had a good day today.
Oh,
Pretty good at work. How was your day?
I can't complain, it's always something. I don't like listening to the news. So, so far, so good.
Yeah.
Now, I done read your bio, but that's not enough for my audience because I know they hype.
Okay.
Please tell us who Gwendolyn Lane is.
Well, first of all, I always have to say that I'm a child of God. That's the first thing. That's the most important thing. And then I am a wife and a mother of 4 beautiful children. And I'm also a nurse practitioner. And I'm the founder of Bold, Black, and Beautiful Nurses.
Wow, beautiful. So, nursing.
Right?
I know that's a tough job. Please tell me, my audience, what does it consist of as being a nurse?
So I think what a lot of people don't know, there are several different ways of becoming a nurse, right? Of course, we don't discount any of them, starting with the nursing assistant, because they assist us. They're not a nurse, but they assist us, but the role is still important. So I never want to leave them out. Then you can become a licensed practical nurse. And their duties is more giving medications, doing treatments. Some LPNs are able to push drugs and do IVs, but that is mainly the role of the RN as far as IV drugs and management. I shouldn't say that because LPNs can be in management in certain facilities. So there's the job of a nurse could be so many different things, and there's so many different avenues you can take as a nurse. You can work in a hospital, you can work in a clinic, you can work in a jail, you can work in a school, you could be a peds nurse or oncology, you know what I mean? Right. So there's so many different things you can do as a nurse. So to try to describe what we do is so vast. As a nurse practitioner, I could work in a school, I could do physicals, I could work at MedExpress, a doctor's office, or just in the hospital. So there are so many things that or I can own my own practice. Right. There's so many things that we can do. So that's just a few, I guess that's just a few things that I touched on. So nurses are never stuck. I think that should be very important to say, because a lot of people are now worried about nurses leaving the bedside, especially with COVID, the increase in demands, the pay that's not that great. People are leaving the bedside. Hence my program, going beyond the bedside, because no longer do we have to be stuck working in patient care right at the bedside. There's so many things that we can do now.
Wow. So what made you decide to become a nurse?
To be 100% honest, in high school, I wanted to be a pediatrician.
Wow.
But life be lifing, right?
Absolutely.
So then, not at a young age, I just went through my own little process to get there. I had my first daughter at 19, got married, I think at 21. And so I was married young, had a family, and I always had a desire to care for people because I was cared for. And so even though I didn't become a pediatrician, I became a nurse practitioner. I always believed to much who is given, it is definitely required. So
yes.
I have to give back.
Now, the highest level in a nurse is an RN, besides being in the administration office. Is it a RN?
No, so I'm a nurse practitioner. So when you think about the levels, I am a step under a physician. So I can write prescriptions. I can see patients on my own. I could take care of a whole unit. I don't have to have a doctor sign my notes. I do, if I have my own practice, have to have an overseeing doctor who I collaborate with, but it would be my practice. So I am one step under a doctor, but there's also other not higher, but the same level of nursing above a RN, like a nurse anesthetist.
Right.
They do the medications during surgery and things like that. So a RN is just one step below a nurse practitioner or a nurse anesthetist, and then you have the licensed practical nurse.
Oh, wow. So, what challenges are there for nurses?
So do we want to talk about what challenges there are for nurses or African American nurses, women as nurses? Because for me, there's challenges for all of us. But when you think about an African American nurse who's a woman, there's always going to be a challenge in the pay, right? There's always going to be a discrepancy most times in the pay because you're Black and because you're a woman. You may not get what a white male would get or your white counterpart as a nurse. So that's one of the things. But just in general for all nurses, a lot of times nurses are overworked, they're undervalued, they're underpaid. I think that's enough right there. The workload is getting harder and harder. And then with the shortages, you get more people, you get more work. So then people are getting burnt out quicker.
So it's definitely short of staff.
I think that there's a lot of people going to school to become nurses, but people aren't going the traditional route of just going to the hospitals to work. But people are leaving quickly as well. A lot of nurses are retiring, and a lot of people are just tired of it, and so they're leaving the bedside, the hospital, the patient, direct patient care type of work. I was concerned though during COVID with the number of nurses who were lost to COVID. May they rest in peace. To a lot of the nurses who are just burnt out, that it was going to be worse than what it is. And the sad part for me is that, initially when COVID started, everybody was cheering the nurses, but then it was like back to the same old, same old. And this is the nurse who couldn't go home to her family because she didn't want her family to get COVID, or the nurses who worked hours upon hours because you were short, or the nurse who got COVID but didn't even have a chance to heal because you said even with COVID, you could work with COVID patients. Like, these are all the things that no one wants to talk about, that people are sacrificing to get a wage. Like, there should never be an option where I say I'm going to sacrifice my life to get $40 an hour, $50. You know what I mean?
Right.
Somebody has to care about the nurse, and it's not showing in a lot of these places where we work.
So do you believe a lot of the nurses probably left because of what took place in COVID?
I think nurses were leaving anyway in droves because they were just tired and burnt out. A lack of appreciation, a wage. I can't say it's not livable because nurses get paid decent money for the most part. But just lack of appreciation, the heavier workloads, people were leaving already. But I think COVID just made it more official. We out. You know what I'm saying? Like COVID just made people look at what was going on and the sacrifices that they made that weren't appreciated. It's back to the same old, same old. It's back to the status. You know what I'm saying? It's back to, we're back to business. We're open. And that's what a hospital is. It's about business. So
Right.
they expect you to show up and do the job.
Right. And I'm pretty sure during the COVID, the nurses, I know they did, went through so much. All medical staff went through so much because you didn't know what this was. And what I was angry about is that they didn't supply the nursing staff with the proper equipment.
Yes. Even till this day, like still people aren't given, now it's better in the hospital, but adequate. Now, anytime if you're a nurse, and you don't have to be a nurse, this is common sense. If I go in a room and I clean up, let's just say your kitchen, there's no way you should be asking me to put hand sanitizer on my gloves and then go into somewhere else and clean. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
You know what I think about with that? Hello?
Yes, we got disconnected. I think your phone went out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was the COVID thought a little too far? Going too far?
No. So
Okay.
we probably giving so much good information. Somebody said, we're gonna cut her. Disconnect this line. No, but right. I lost you. I think I lost you when I asked you as far as not having the equipment, the proper equipment.
Oh, so you didn't hear my thing about
it completely went dead.
So what I was saying with the supplies, like reusing a mask, I think that's horrible. Going from room to room with a mask on, because initially when I became a nurse, there's no way you would be allowed to go from one patient's room who may be sick with a mask on to another patient's room. And the other thing that got me was, this is what I was hearing, nurses were asked to put gloves on, and then when you come out the room, you sanitize your gloves with hand sanitizer and then go into another room. Now, I noted that, I related that to, and like I said, this might be too much, but a condom. Because there's no way you can put alcohol in a condom and think that it's still going to protect you, right?
Right.
I don't think so. Somebody's having a baby. So alcohol burns, alcohol, right. It eats through things. So I wouldn't feel safe wearing a pair of gloves, putting out hand sanitizer on it, and then going in another room. Those things to me are crazy. And those things that happen, they've greatly affected nurses, and they greatly affected all the staff. But nurses in particular, that's who we're talking about. Yeah. How am I working for you? And even during COVID, let's just think about a hospital being a business. Even during COVID, while nurses were still getting their same wages, they may have gotten some pizza, right? The hospital was still bringing in millions. They were getting money from the government. They were getting money from people's insurance. But the workers were still risking their lives and on the front line and not being recognized, not being treated better, and still got their regular pay.
Wow.
You got to make that make sense for me. I don't understand.
I get angry because I don't think that the medical staff was trained properly. I think it was they were treated unfairly. And when I think about my mom leaving the hospital just to go to rehab, and she was just getting worse, and come to find out when we finally got her out to New York Presbyterian, she had COVID. So somebody gave it to her. And I know that they probably weren't doing things proper. They were tired. They didn't have the proper equipment that they should have had. I spoke to a lot of nurses. They are very angry as to how they were being treated, and the things that they needed, they weren't receiving. The things that they were told, it wasn't being done. And I get angry, but who do you take your anger out on?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Who do you get mad with?
Who really cares? Nobody.
Right.
They just expect you to show up. And most nurses, I should say, Most nurses have a heart to care. They want to care for their patients. They want to be there for their patients. So regardless of all those things you just said, here we are showing up again, right? Here we are standing in the gap for our patients, making sure that what the doctor said is getting done and that our patients are okay. But at the end of the day, you know, when you have a problem and nobody's listening, you just continue to become angry and frustrated.
Right.
And so until you had enough, when you had enough, you're out. And so I don't blame no nurses. And the scary part about this is I had COVID and the nurses, I sort of have to play both sides, right? Because I had COVID. They had a lot of new nurses. We're going to talk about that.
I'm losing you again. Gwen? Hello? Gwen, you there? That's the government. Gwen, you done disappeared again, and you're talking. I can see that you're still talking. Hello? Oh, we lost her. I lost her. Oh, man. Gwen,
No.
Gwen, you keep cutting off. It might be the government.
Is that the people calling?
Every time you start talking, you start picking the knowledge, that you just get cut off. I think it's the government.
I don't say it's the man.
You don't said a whole sentence, and I didn't hear it. Neither did the audience.
I'm so sorry. And I don't.
No, it's okay. Can you remember? Do you remember what you were saying? Like, can you?
Did you hear when I was saying I had COVID?
I got that part.
Okay, so I didn't feel like the nurses knew what they were doing, so I had to instruct them. So they had me in a negative pressure room. That's what it's called. And so there was cold air blowing. I had COVID, so that means I had a fever, I had chills, and so I was sweating. But then I was freezing because this air was on me. So if you ever had a fever, you get hot, but then when it breaks, you sweat and you get cold. Then this cold air was blowing on me, right?
Right.
These nurses left me in the room. I kept calling out. Thank God, my friends who are nurses, who are in Bold, Black, and Beautiful Nurses, called that hospital, demanding to speak to somebody who's in charge, demanding to speak to the supervisor, threatening to tell them what we're going to do if they didn't take care of me. And they cracked me up. They like, do you know who you got in there? Meanwhile, I ain't nobody. They just like, do you know who you got in there? And they finally did it. So me as the nurse, one, I was disappointed, right? I was disappointed that I got the care that I got. But on the other side of that, I'm thinking, but I understand, because people were afraid. We didn't know really what was going on. 1 minute they tell you need a surgical mask is okay, N95. Then they tell you to wear 2 surgical masks. And it's still not really clear. But at that time, I feel like the nurses were afraid. They weren't prepared. They didn't have supplies, and they were afraid.
I'm going to tell you what a nurse told me. My mother was in downstate, and I had to go there one day with my aunt. And we were just chit-chatting. I said, you remember me? Because I used to go to all my mother's doctor visits all the time with the home attendant. And she said, I remember you. And I said, my mom passed away. She said, I'm so sorry. And she said, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people didn't have to die. I said, she says, I'm telling you, a lot of people did not have to die. And she said, if you was a certain age, they'd rather save the young. Mm-hmm. If you was already up there in age, they felt that you lived your life. They didn't.
Ain't that something?
They didn't work on you as hard as they would the 20, the 30, or the 40, or the 50-year-old. But if you were past a certain age, they were told to. There's nothing they could do. And I'm like, please don't tell me that, because I know my mother was 87. God bless her soul. And I'm so happy I had it. But I don't think anybody, I don't care how old you are, you are a human being at the end of the day. But what were the nurses supposed to do? They giving orders. You understand? That's what I'm saying.
Wait, though.
Okay.
A nurse's job is to do no harm. A doctor can tell me to give you a crazy amount of morphine.
Right.
But if I know it's not right, then I don't do that.
Right. Okay.
But then factor in I'm tired, I'm overworked, I'm frustrated, all those things. We never know why. I mean, you definitely have to listen to a doctor and administration, but if it comes down to something that you just don't feel is morally right, we don't have to do that.
Right. So a lot can be administration too that's pushing these nurses like, I'm out of here. I can't do this no more. The management.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it all rolls downhill. Years ago, doctors used to run the care for their patients. Now it's all insurances.
Right.
Their insurance runs the hospital. It's no longer, there's guidelines. You fall in the guidelines and that's it. Wow. Doctors usually don't have their own offices anymore. We're here in Pittsburgh. A lot of doctors are affiliated with a health system. There's 2 major health systems here, and most of them are with one or the other. And they tell you how you run your office. They tell you how many patients are required for you to see. They manage all that. So medicine is more run by big insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, weigh in on all that. All of that, it's all big business. It's really not caring for patients how we know nursing to be, how it used to be.
It's sad. It's sad. It's like I think COVID was about money too. I just get this feeling. I don't know. I feel like every patient, every time somebody passed away with COVID, maybe the hospital got money for it. Yeah. I don't know.
Wait, did the phone click off?
No, it's on.
Okay. I know that years ago, I better watch what I said. Years ago, they were saying that people who had HIV, right? If you got hit by a car, they were saying you died of AIDS because there was money that you got for taking care of or burying or a person with HIV passing away. So it's all connected to money. You know what I'm saying? Even if you got hit by a car, the reason of death is AIDS. So that makes me to believe that COVID, of course, it could have been something totally different. But
could have been something different. Mm-hmm. Wow. It's so sad. It's sad.
Everything's about money, unfortunately.
What a sad world we live in. But
yeah.
So tell me.
But let me pivot real quick, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
Just think about all the people who lost their lives because they had a fake nurse.
Oh my God.
I mean, do you know what I'm saying? So I've had friends tell me, so I live in Pittsburgh. This all started down in Florida. They call it Operation Nightingale because Florence Nightingale was the number one nurse. They teach us all of her ways, things like that. You have to look it up. But this was called Operation Nightingale. So these nurses went to the school. I think there's like 2,600 nurses, diplomas given out. And these people went to these schools and they paid for a diploma, right? So when you go to nursing school, I don't care what level it is. You have your clinical where you go out into, you have your theory where you learn in the classroom, and then you take what you learn and practice it in the clinic, in the hospital, those things. From what I understand and what I've been reading, these nurses didn't do that. They went to school and they taught them how to take the test. Now, the test is your licensure. Once you finish your theory and you finish your hours of practicum, your practice hours in the clinic, then you're eligible to sit for a test. Well, they went past all of that. They just taught them how to take the test. So many people failed the test that the government got involved in checking into why are these nurses failing this licensure test? Well, because they weren't taught to be nurses. So any college you go to, I don't care if you go to school to be a social worker or nursing. If you have a large fail rate, your school can lose accreditation.
Right.
And so these people were failing this test and they started to look into it and found out They wasn't going to school. They were trying to teach them to take the test to practice. So this is Joe Smo off the street who may have a little inkling or able to recall information. So you teaching it to me, and I'm able to recall it for the test, and now I'm a nurse. So now I'm taking care of your grandmother in the hospital. And from the people that I know who've worked with these nurses, because they're in Pennsylvania too, they said they don't know anything. They know nothing. They were horrible nurses. And how can you blame them? They don't know.
Oh my God.
You don't know. They weren't taught. Well, you could blame them because they shouldn't have did it, but they weren't taught. They don't understand. And so they're just there taking up space, I guess, pretty much, and collecting the check.
So couldn't that be jail time for them? And for the person that allowed this to happen?
Well, I think the school is in trouble, and I think some people are going to jail, and I don't know the facts 100%. But from what I heard, and again, this is hearsay, allegedly, ain't that what y'all say? Allegedly. Yes. Allegedly, what's the hospital down in Atlanta? One of the big hospitals down in Atlanta sent their nurses these letters. They found out who these nurses were, sent them letters and said that they should resign. And from what I'm hearing, they didn't fire them. They told them that they should resign. Now, how you know these people don't got no license and you telling them you should resign? They should have been fired on site.
Right.
And then, I love my people. I'm brown from the Bogota.
Yes.
But when you caught, right?
Yes.
The one, there's an attorney, I think that she's a nurse. And I think there's a couple nurses that she is representing. And they're fighting because they don't think they should have to lose their job, lose their life. Like, sis, now, let me just say this, put a pin in that, and I'm going to just say this. During COVID, nurses, so RNs, regular nurses, registered nurses, was making bank. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
They was traveling all over the world, working in COVID clinics, getting paid. If I didn't have no license, and in 1 or 2 years, I made $300,000, and I got caught, I'm caught. I'm going to go sit down somewhere.
Right.
How are you going to fight when you're wrong?
Can't be strong and wrong. That's what I was told.
Like, I just want our people to, like, if they ain't taking you to jail and you have the opportunity to go sit down, go ahead. How are you going to fight being wrong? So what, they let you work there? They let you work there under false, you didn't give them the right information.
They may tell them to pay that money back.
I don't know. It's crazy. Then I have a friend who is a supervisor at the VA here, and she told me that now they have to go through every applicant, every person, and see if they went to any of those schools, and if so, fire them.
So at one point in our life, we might have had a fake nurse. Even my mother, she could have had a fake nurse.
Coulda. You're in Jersey or New York? Because I think Jersey, New York, Atlanta, Florida, Pittsburgh,
I think
Texas.
Delaware too. I heard Delaware.
And the sad part, I think that they said a lot of the nurses were Caribbean or something.
Unbelievable.
Keep in mind, this is just alleged.
Yes. How do you even? This is serious. It's serious to work in the medical field. This is not a joke.
But I just feel like there's a shortage, and sometimes people know, but they don't say. You know what I'm saying?
Unbelievable.
They could have known. Somebody could have known. And just let it slide until it couldn't slide no more.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how did something like this get out? Somebody just, I'm telling. You know how it is. They get into an argument, I'm snitching.
No, it got out because the people kept failing the test. Right. So when they started failing the test, that would affect the accreditation. That would affect when you don't have accreditation, then you don't get funding. Just all of that. But they weren't getting funding. I want to say it was $7,000 to become an LPN and maybe $10,000 to $12,000 to become an RN.
But my thing is, if I knew I did something like that, I'd be reading every book I could find. How to be a nurse, what a nurse supposed to do, how you put the thing in the arm. I would be reading stuff and studying still. I might not be in school, but I still will pick up a book and start reading, Googling, doing something. Like, you didn't go to college, you didn't do it the right way, but don't think that, maybe they thought that they could go, you know how some people say, well, I didn't have to go to school, like if I'll ask my electrician one day, I asked my electrician, I said, well, did you ever go to, have to go to school for this? He says, no, online, I just do on the job training. So they must have thought that they can learn to be a nurse by being on a job and watching people do things and then just practicing doing it on patients.
Craziness.
Oh my God. This is crazy. Mm-hmm. So
people are crazy. And it's a whole bunch of audacity. That's all it is.
Oh my goodness.
To even sit there and say, now I want to fight for my job. Like, no.
How do you fight for your job when you wasn't real? You were fake.
Yeah. And it put every person that came into their care in jeopardy.
Oh my goodness. This is crazy.
What about the nursing homes? What about the hospitals who aren't looking for fake nurses? What if they're not doing their due diligence to see if any of their nurses went to that school? Then they'll continue to practice.
Did they name the school or it's on a hush-hush?
No, they named the school. I don't know if it was more than one school, but I know they named the one school. I can't think of it.
Wow. Wow. That's terrible. Now, so now when you sit with a nurse, he goes, oh, could you show me your papers, please, that you passed the test? Before you put this syringe or anything on me, could you just let me know if you're a real nurse? Oh, boy. This is crazy. Wow.
Yeah, they said 2,800.
2,800 fake nurses.
Mm-hmm.
Spread it out all over.
Yeah.
Wow. It's really sad. Really sad.
Oh, it was 3 schools. My bad. It was 3 schools.
Wow. Unbelievable. To take a chance on people's lives. And then what if, let's just say this particular nurse that's fake had a patient and they died under her care. You know what I mean? It's terrible.
I mean, I don't even want to start that. I don't want to say that because people could really start going back. If you thought that your loved one passed away in certain instances where it could have been a negligence or something, going back and requesting who was the nurse.
Right.
I mean, that would be a lot of legal work, but I mean, it could be done. And I think that I was just looking over this real quick. They're asking people to surrender their licenses instead of, this says Georgia asked 22 people to surrender their license and none of them did. Do you think they're going to?
Oh, wow. I wonder when they do get these particular individuals, are they going to post their names and make it known? If you encountered this person at any time or family member, you might have you may be able to take legal action if your so-called family member passed away. Maybe they need to post their names. If you're bold enough to become a nurse and you really not a nurse, shame on you. Because the ones that are true, that went to school, sweat and tears and all that, no sleeping at night, kudos to you. Kudos to you. And now these nurses here making the same amount of money did nothing. That's rough. That is, wow, that's really deep. It's deep, Gwen. That's deep. So tell me, I saw you on Instagram and you were talking about, I got interrupted, but I was listening to you and you had a book in your hand and I think you were going over some things, getting ready to talk about some things. Did it have anything to do with your organization, Bold, Black, and Beautiful?
I had a book?
Yeah, I think you was talking about, I don't know, don't quote me now, some type of maybe seminar you was doing?
So let me just tell you a couple of things I do, and then maybe I can touch on it it'll jog your memory of what you saw.
Okay.
So I work as a nurse practitioner Monday through Friday. That's where, yeah. And so that's where I make the majority of my money. But I also believe in not being stuck, going beyond the bedside, because again, we don't have to be stuck there. So I always try to encourage nurses. Well, I used to teach at community college, and I used to tell all the nurses to never just get their associate's degree. So to be a registered nurse, all you have to do is have a diploma or associate's degree. That's 2 years of schooling and taking the test. But you can also get your bachelor's degree to work in management as well. So I always try to encourage the nurses to not just stop at the RN, but to get your BS and your bachelor's in nursing. And then those who are bachelor prepared nurses who ask me about going back to school, of course, I encourage them to become the master's in nursing, where you can become a nurse anesthetist or a nurse practitioner through graduate school. But I really love being an entrepreneur. And so I also try to encourage people to become entrepreneurs. So my program, Beyond the Bedside, I have a home care agency, and I teach anyone, but usually I get nurses, but I teach anyone how to open a home care agency, a non-medical home care agency. Because when we think about medicine, it's moving really to your home. You can get PT in your home, OT in your home, hospice in your home. You can get anything you need in your house now. They're really trying to get people into the hospital for what they need and out. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So opening a home care agency is another stream of income. I also have a nursing clothing line. So a lot of my stuff say the nurse face on it. I just started another non-medical hoodie line that says hoodies. Like, there's a lot of things that I do. I do facial care. I have a lip gloss line called Nurse Gloss. Like, I try to encourage people to get more than one stream of income, because at the end of the day, baby, them knees is going to start hurting, feet going to hurt, and our back going to be tore up. I mean, it's just a part of the job. And that's why when I first became an associate nurse, I started from the bottom. I got my associates. I knew that I couldn't stop there, because I knew that I didn't want to be that nurse who was on the floor at 65, can hardly walk, tired, angry. I didn't want to be her.
Right.
So from the beginning, I set it up to move from my associates to grad school, but also have some other things in place. And if I could, I would be a full-time entrepreneur. That is what I love. And it would probably always be around medicine, because I love that as well. But that is where my passion is. And I love to encourage people. You don't have to be stuck. You don't have to wait on nobody. And you can, as much as God allows you, to make your own path.
Wow, that's excellent. You know, I'm listening to you talk about nurses, you know, and for years I've been surrounded by them because of my mom. She was diagnosed in 2017, right after I retired, with heart disease. And so I was constantly in the hospitals. I have a sister and brothers, but I lived with mom. So, you know, I'm the one that's probably going to, you know, that was always there. And, you know, when it came to a lot of the nurses, you had the good nurses and you had the bad nurses. And I used to have to check some of the bad nurses, and I used to have to tell them, listen now, when you start getting frustrated and aggravated and mean and snappy, it should be time for you to put in your papers, because you are supposed to care for the sick. Now, I'm not judging all nurses, because I know it's a tough job dealing with patients, but you took an oath to help individuals out who can't help themselves. And now I had to check a few of them, you know, because they would come off a little rough. And I'm like, now, slow it down now, sis, because at the end of the day, I'm a woman and you a woman. And you're not going to treat my mother any type of way. And I think when you came off like that, and I hate to talk like that, but I think when you came off like that, and I seen my mother every single day, and I stayed with her for at least 9 to 10 hours a day, they knew I was going to be there. So they treated my mother very nice. But it's sad for those who don't have family. Yes. That nobody's coming to see them. So now you get these nurses that don't do what they're supposed to do. Now, I'm not saying all, because I've met some beautiful nurses, ones that have went out their way, but not everybody's like that. And I noticed that if you don't come around with your family, you don't get the same treatment.
And that's sad, but it's the harsh reality. Anytime somebody I know has to go to the nursing home, I always tell them to check in on your people, check in often, and go at different times. Don't let them expect you at 5, because then at 5, of course, they're going to be greased up, looking nice, sitting in the chair. Go in there at different times. I just want to jump into something really quick. Two things. One, our organization has a crock ball that we started last year. So we're going to have it again this year, and we're going to take the funds from the crock ball, the fundraisers we've been having, to give scholarships to nursing students. So that's one thing that we do, where everybody dresses up and then they wear their crocks. But the other thing, which you made me think about, is we're currently doing a fundraiser. Now we're going to adopt a unit in one of our state-run nursing homes, because like you said, everybody don't have someone to bring them undershirts or socks or personal items. So that's one of the things that we want to do. And my heart is community. We have a toy drive. We try to do different things in the community, because the reason why I became a nurse practitioner, because I always thought about the Tuskegee experiment. I always thought about how our people don't trust the medical field. Right. They don't trust it. And so I needed to be at the table, and I needed to have some other brown people at the table with me to let our people know it's okay. Like, you're going to be okay, because we're going to help guide you and lead you through whatever it is that you question or you need help with. And I think that we don't always have that, especially in those facilities. So it's a difference between being a nurse and being a good nurse. Right. There's a big difference. Yeah. And everybody ain't a good nurse, but if they know they got family, they're going to be a good nurse for your mama.
Right. It's beautiful that you have this bold, black, and beautiful organizations for the nurses. I think that is really excellent in all the different things that you do in your organization. That is awesome.
We're trying, because everybody needs somebody. I don't care what you have. There's always an opportunity to help someone, and you never know when you're going to find yourself in need. So we want to support the nursing students. We want to support the nurses, because I might know about a job and you might be looking for a job. Or I might know a supervisor that you need to get in contact with for a job, and you don't have to go through the red tape. I can just get you right to them, or something else. You know what I'm saying? I want to support everybody on every step of their journey if I can. And then not just me, but we have mentors to help our students. We're just really trying to be effective in the community and for everybody, but particularly for Black people.
Awesome. Do you have other seminars in different states, talking to all the other different nurses?
That is a dream that I have. I want to go to other places and talk about nursing, but it hasn't happened as of yet. But we have nurses in North Carolina, Philadelphia, Ohio. We have nurses not just in Pittsburgh who are a part of our organization. So we do have nurses in other places.
Wow, that's good. I say keep up the good work, sis. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to tell? I would love for you to come back on my show again, so you can, whatever events or different things that you having, or just any more information that you want to talk about to let everybody know. I would love for you to come back, because nurses are important. And I tell people, listen, you try standing on your feet all day. It's not easy. And you dealing with this patient and this patient, it's a lot. Then you got to do your notes, of course. I used to sit and watch the nurses, and they be running back and forth, and I just, it's not easy. It is a very tough job.
I want to just tell you about one more thing that what I experienced that really threw me for a loop, and this was probably like in the 2000s. I don't know what year, but it was after 2005, probably. I had a patient who told me I wasn't the nurse. And I was like, I'm your nurse. No, the other girl is my nurse. I said, no, I'm your nurse. The wife was like, no, it's not you. So I went and got the aide. who happened to be white, and she said, she is your nurse. I'm the aide. And a lot of times when we go into the hospital, they ask us, is we the aide? Listen, I'd be so happy to be like the nurse practitioner. I'd be happy to tell people that, because we're always considered the aide. So in our group, and I just went to a whole nother thing. In our group, every so often, I put a post up to say, run those initials, because it is important for us to celebrate every step, every initial, everything that's behind your name, because everyone is not going to celebrate you.
Wow.
That is one of the things we do in our group. If you got your LPN, if you're an aide, whatever it is, we're celebrating where you at and where you're going, because people, and when they see that little brown face, you're the aide, you're the housekeeper,
Unbelievable.
you're dietary. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So,
But in New York, and I'm surrounded by Brookdale, Downstate, Kings County. The majority of the nurses are African Americans.
well, not Raleigh.
Wow.
We're starting to see an influx of African American nurses, but no. Now let me just say, I have a lot of white friends who are amazing nurses and who are amazing people, but at the end of the day, you haven't experienced what I've experienced. So I need to see my people. I need to talk about some things with my people. I need to be able to talk to someone who understands what I'm talking about and what I'm feeling. And that's what our group offers. This is a safe space.
Now, I want to say another thing. I don't want to keep you on hold too long, because I could talk about this all day. What do you think about the nurses that made the comments about, I think they were working in the maternity ward, and they were talking about their patients. Now, this is not the first time this happened, but I was seeing they starting to fire them. It was like they were making fun of what the patients were, their request or what they were asking. What do you think about that? Do you think that they should have been fired or suspended or reprimanded?
Number one, I think that social media has made people forget about HIPAA.
Yes.
Are we not concerned that we're not supposed to be telling people's information? And even, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
No, I said, oh boy. Boy. It's just social media. It's just a mess.
Yeah. So people feel like it's okay to, say things about people on social media and think that there will be no backlash. And even if you didn't say their names, when they started to put these videos out, people started to say, oh, they're talking about me. That happened when I was there. So I think that, number one, it's disgusting. Now, as a nurse, I'm going to keep it 100. If somebody did something, I'm coming out to the nurse's station and we might discuss it. We might have a laugh about it. But never am I going to pick up my phone and press record and be like, and she said, because they were black. They were talking about mainly black people. You could tell by what they were saying. So another opportunity to degrade us in front of the world.
Right.
I don't think that they should be fired, but there needs to be some type of reprimanding, like suspension or something. And I think that there needs to be education.
Right.
You can, and then this is another thing. I think some of them was hot. How you gonna be hot when you did something wrong?
Right. Right. That social media is just too much. Why would you even post that? You're disrespecting yourself, you're disrespecting the patients, and you're disrespecting the hospital.
Yeah. I've seen people take videos with their clients, with their patients. I have none of that at my agency because it's just not cool.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, another doctor, she got in trouble. The patient overheard, I think he kept his phone on record or something. And as he's being operated on, I don't know what he did, but you can hear the doctor talking about it. I'm like, what is going on in the medical field? Like, what's happening? Like, I don't know.
I think that's far-fetched, though.
You think
he must not. So I've heard of cases where people were in anesthesia, but not all the way under, and they've heard some things or whatever. I don't think his phone was on, probably, because you're not allowed to take. I don't know.
Right.
But I think that one. I don't know.
He did record because when they showed it on the news, you heard the doctor talking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was saying sarcastic stuff about him. And I'm like, how he record? So before he went under, he just pressed record? Like, was this a setup? I don't know. But they had the recording. Like, they had her voice. And I'm like, oh, come on. What's going on in the medical field? Like, so I don't know if this was personal or set up or I don't know. But he did record her.
Now, sometimes patients do the most.
Yes.
They look for every reason to have a nurse in trouble, a person. Some people do the most. And some families need to understand that we are here to take care of your patient the best that we can.
Yes.
But sometimes it's going to require you to wait. Sometimes it's going to require something that you don't like. And we can figure it out together through education. But what you can never do and think is okay, number one is to even act like you're going to put your hands on me. That'll never be okay.
Right.
Two is to be disrespectful to me, because I am not going to return the disrespect, but I'm going to walk away.
Right.
So, a lot of people need to understand that we are trying to do our best and work with us. Working with us is the best way to get everything accomplished. I'm going to do my job regardless, but there needs to be some respect given to nurses. You see these people killing nurses, people on the floor trying to hurt the nurse. Like, nobody signed up for that. I'm here to care for you.
Right.
So it goes both ways. Nurses can be a total trip, but patients as well can really overstep their boundaries, talk crazy to nurses and the families as well. And that's never okay.
I know nurses go through a lot, and I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of terrible things being a nurse. Do they give y'all any type of therapy? Or no, I'm just saying, because you probably done seen people pass away and people trying to be saved, and that's, you're a human being at the end of the day to see all this around you. Do they have any sessions for nurses to cope with death and illness and seeing people sick? Because when you have a patient constantly, you get to know that patient, you build a bond. And I know a lot of nurses was telling me during the COVID, they were just so distraught because the people that they were taking care of were dying. It was just death all around, and they needed help. They needed therapy. So is there anything that can help the nurse? Do they have anything for the nurses when it comes to situations like that?
So I guess it really depends on where you work.
Right.
If they have something. Now, most places just have the employee, it's called EAP, assistance program. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if anybody has anything specifically for nurses. No. And the sad reality is a lot of times after we see stuff, you become numb because you still have to perform.
That's rough. Kudos to all the nurses out there, the medical staff, everybody. I don't care what title you have. Mm-hmm. Anybody working in the medical field, especially the nurses. Oh, God bless y'all.
And this is another group of people who don't always get the recognition. And so say if somebody was in a hospital and they would be like, go and pray for I'm praying for your family. I'm praying for every nurse, doctor, aide, housekeeper, doctor, whoever is in contact, because everybody is necessary for this to work. You cannot have just the nurses and doctors and think that your patient's going to be taken care of. Every discipline, every department is important for your patient to have adequate care. Yes. And so we need to applaud everybody who even steps through the door of a hospital, from the housekeeper to the president of the hospital, because it takes everyone to manage the care. Even
the person that cleans the rooms, because they take a risk. They take a risk too, going in there and cleaning, So
not even when it's a risk, they show up.
So
we're applauding people for showing up, because it's hard these days to just even show up.
I'm trying to tell you. I mean, not to come off the nurses situation, but I could go to Lowe's or Home Depot. I'm doing everything myself. I don't see. It's like there's no workers. I don't know what's going on. There's short of staffing. One time I drove to McDonald's. The lady said, could you come inside? I said, I was at the drive-thru. She said, ma'am, do you mind coming inside? We don't have nobody here. I said, what? Mm-hmm. And I just wanted something to drink. And she said, I don't have no staff. So I'm saying, what's going on? Nobody want to work. But we don't know people's situations, what's going on. People getting sick and so many things is happening in the world. It's so much.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So on that, we need to just remind people to stay prayed up because it's crazy out here.
Yes, absolutely. I love your website. I done posted some things on my page. I said,
check it out. Check it out.
I have my a few of my friends, they're nurses, and I would love to get them some of your items for them, you know, because we gotta show love to the nurses. But before we go, leave me with something bold. Black and beautiful nurses, CEO Miss Gwen Lane. Leave my audience something about nurses.
Now you didn't put me on the spot.
Something positive. Let the people know.
I can't think of nothing. Now I want to say something like a jingle, like "Up with hope, down with dope," but now I can't think of nothing. But like when you see a nurse, say hi. I think that just saying hi and acknowledging them, that would help them. Something that's positive. One thing about all nurses is we're showing up.
Yes.
And so when we're showing up, it's just important that we do the job that we came for, and that is what we do. Nurses always show up. So when you see a nurse, be kind to a nurse, because we're going to always show up.
That's all. That's all. Where can we find you, Gwen? Where can my audience find your website, email, if you want Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok?
So we have a B3N. That's our nickname, #B3N, because you don't have to always say bold, black, and beautiful.
Right.
So on Facebook, it's #B3N. If you're a nurse or a nursing student, go to the page. Of course, you as well. Go to our Facebook group and there's a few questions, I think 3, answer them and we'll let you in the group. You can get in the group and network. You can find someone in your state. Our website is www.b3ns.biz. You can go on there, see some things that we have done. If you want some gear or some merch, you can get that, or just check us out and see who we're working with and what we're doing. And then we have an Instagram. It's B3N Nurses. And so you can go on there, chit chat with me, talk to me. I love to talk to people. And get to know them. In any way I can help, I'm available. If I can't help you, I'm going to direct you to someone who can. If you need somebody in Ohio, a nurse practitioner, and you're a patient, I have a cousin who's a nurse practitioner in Ohio. We have friends who are nurses at the VA if you're having a problem in North Carolina. Friends in the VA up here. Like, we connected. Let's stay connected. So however I can assist, I'm definitely available.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yes. I think you're on Twitter too and TikTok, right? Twitter, TikTok, YouTube.
I am. We're on YouTube, B3N Nurses, and I don't usually use Twitter. All of this social media is just driving me nuts. It's so much.
I know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
So it's hard to keep up with all of that stuff. So mainly our main focus is in Facebook and Instagram, and we do put some stuff on YouTube every now and then, but
right. I'm so happy that you came on the show. Like I said, I would love for you to come back and tell us all the other different things that you're doing and the present, the future, no matter what it is. I would love to have you back.
Yes, because I would love to have some nurses. We do have nurses come from other states, but to come to our Croc Ball, get dressed in your finest, but adorn your feet with some Crocs, because let other people take a walk in our shoes for today. So
that's right.
I would love to have other people from other states to come out to our Croc Ball.
That's awesome. You gotta love the nurses, y'all, because they take care of you. They take care of you. And like I said, I thank you so much, Gwen, for being on my show. And I just want to let everybody know that you gotta live, laugh, love you first, because you can't love anyone or anything unless you love yourself first. We gotta stay healthy, stay focused, keep God first in our life, and love and squeeze our family members and our pets, because they family too.
Yeah.
Squeeze and love them just a little bit tighter. Life is too short. I love you, Mommy and Daddy, forever. Thank you, Miss Quinn, for being on Listen Up, Listen In podcast. And I hope to have you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay!
Oh, thank you.
That concludes this episode of Listen Up, Listen In with your host, Preezy. Hey, yo, Preezy, tell them how to keep in touch, baby.
Go to Instagram, Listen Up, Listen In 5687, and on Facebook, Listen Up, Listen In. You can also email me at listenuplistenin5687@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, by following me on social media, you'll be able to see all the platforms my podcast is on. Wherever you consume my podcast, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast.
Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Yeah.